And joining me now is Democratic Congressman from Florida, Jared Moskowitz. And Congressman, I first want to get your reaction to the statement of clarification from President Gay. You have called on all three of these university presidents who spoke yesterday to resign or even be fired. Do you think this clarification is enough?
Well, obviously, she had to clarify it because she completely failed the course on being a university president. I mean, you know, do her students get a clarification after they give the completely wrong answer to an exam question? I mean, where was their prep for this? Hey, you're going to get asked all these questions. You're going to ask questions by Democrats. You're going to ask questions by Republicans. This was not a trick question by Elise Stefanik. Does the genocide of Jews, does the calling of the genocide of Jews, the killing of Jews on campus, is that harassment? I mean, it was a deer in the headlights. And so, look, I'm glad she clarified it, but it shows that she has recognized what a debacle of an answer that was. And so, look, that's a judgment for the board. I just don't see how time in and time out, they continue to struggle with this question of how Jews should be treated on campus. And if you sub out Jews and you put in other minority groups, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, LGBTQ plus Americans, right? Would this really be their answers? And no way, absolutely no way. If people were marching on Harvard saying we should lynch the black students, it would be harassment. Those people would be gone. No one would be saying it's free speech. And so, look, these presidents have failed their students. In my opinion, they shouldn't be there anymore, but that's obviously up to their boards.
Now, so what do you think these schools do need to do to ensure the safety of their Jewish students?
Well, look, obviously, the first thing they got to do is they got to show that there's repercussions for the behavior. So when Jewish students have been assaulted for not being able to go to class because they're being surrounded by students and they're not being able to move, those students should be suspended from the university. Those students should have repercussions because that will stop this from happening with other students. I mean, at the end of the day, these are adult kids. Right? So if they see they can get away with it, they're going to continue to do it. Right? If they see that it's going to go viral on social media, they're going to emulate it. So first, they got to make sure that when this happens, they come out with repercussions. I think they also need to make clear what the code of conduct is to students and what is and is not acceptable. So students clearly know what they can do in the free speech area versus what is not a free speech issue and borderlines on harassment.
All right, let's turn now to the funding negotiations on Capitol Hill. Earlier today, President Biden urged Congress to pass Ukraine aid before the resources run out at the end of the year. He said that would make the border changes. He would allow that to get through, at least open to those negotiations. What do you know about the current state of negotiations over aid? And can a deal get done before the end of the year?
Well, first, the negotiations are absolutely nowhere. That's why the president is intervening. I was happy to see him do that. I thought he was very clear in his speech today. But let's also not talk about what Speaker Johnson did here. Speaker Johnson had a moment to pass Israel funding in the House to bring everybody together, put him on the Capitol steps, pass an Israel aid package right in the aftermath of October 7th. By the way, it was the Speaker's first week in office. And instead, what he did was he's divided us by doing, this IRS nonsense. He was told that thing was dead in the Senate. So the Speaker killed Israel aid right before we could even get it out of the gate and get it over to the Senate. So the Speaker deserves some culpability here of why the talks have completely broken down. I agree with the president. I think we need to do more at the border. I think Democrats are coming to the table to do more at the border. But at the same time, we need our Republican colleagues to come with Ukraine and Israel and humanitarian funding. And let's put that in a big package together and get it done and show our allies we can do big things still in Congress and show our enemies that we're still the United States of America and that we can work together when it comes to trying to keep peace and security in the world.
And you were in a briefing yesterday on Ukraine security. What were your takeaways? I mean, how dire, I should say, will the situation be if that aid runs out?
It's dire. It's dire, and Putin is laughing at us, right? I mean, he loves this dysfunction in Congress. He loves that the Republicans are a complete mess because his plan is that when winter is done, if Ukraine doesn't have the weapons and the resources they need, he's going to take complete advantage of that, right? And we're going to let someone invade a foreign nation and just get away with it if we don't come to their aid. By the way, we got to replenish our own supplies. Part of this bill is to replenish our own military supplies because we've depleted our supplies to help Ukraine. So some of this is trying to help ourselves. And so this is just absolutely outrageous. It goes right into the chaos of the 118th Congress, which seems that the only two things that we can do under Republican control is expel a member and get rid of a speaker.
Well, let's talk about your role in the Oversight Committee. I talked to the chairman of that committee, James Comer, yesterday about the potential impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Today, he's threatening Hunter Biden, the president's son, with contempt of Congress if he doesn't appear. I mean, doesn't Hunter Biden have a legal obligation to answer this congressional subpoena?
Well, first of all, I thought your interview was very interesting. James was like a deer in the headlights. He was being hit with facts, and he's like, "This is not what Newsweek does to me," and he was all confused about it. Like right after that, he must have like looked in the mirror like Stuart Smalley, the Al Franken character. He was like, "I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and people like me," because he couldn't answer your basic questions, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Hunter was paying back his dad a loan on the Ford truck. By the way, thank God it was an American truck. Can you imagine how mad the Republicans could be if the truck was not American? But look, Hunter has said he'll come to the hearing. Comer went on TV 3 times and said, "We invite Hunter to come to a deposition or to a public hearing." I mean, that's the chairman speaking. So Hunter said, "I accept your invitation to a public hearing." And now they're like, no, oopsie, our bad. We want to invite you to be a basement dweller so we can ask you questions away from the American people. They have prosecuted Hunter in the public for the last year. The American people want to hear from Hunter. Let the Republicans ask the tough questions. Hunter should give those answers. Look, Hunter's got himself into some trouble. He's indicted, right? And obviously, he needs to go through that process. And if he's done something wrong, then he'll have to deal with it. And
right.
he should get no special treatment.
Let me drill down on this. Sure. I do think it's important because in the past, it's not out of the realm of reasonability in Congress for someone to come and have the original closed-door deposition and then do the public hearing. That is normally the way it is done. Why should it be different for Hunter Biden?
Because they're never going to call him publicly. They're never going to do that. They want to tell their story to their echo chamber. This is also the first time a witness is saying, "I'll come right away to the public hearing. You get me in a public setting with the media. More transparency." All of a sudden, it's like transparency, bad. Donald Trump asked for cameras in the courtroom. Republicans seem to love that idea. Hunter says, "I want the same thing." And all of a sudden, we're like, no, we can't let Hunter tell his side of the story. And so, look, Hunter deserves his day to explain his behavior. But the Republicans don't want to do that. They just want to tell their narrative and their misinformation. Oh, by the way, 50,000 pages of documents have been turned over to the Republicans. Not a single shred of evidence on Joe Biden. And yet they continue to try to move this forward, probably with an impeachment inquiry vote next week. It's just garbage.
All right, Congressman, we're going to have to leave it there. Jared Moskowitz, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.